Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the men's elite race in the Podium Under the Lights 5K down at Battersea Park. And we are about 400 metres into the race, and straight at the front of the pack you can see many big names that we did expect to see here. Got Jack Rowe there donning the white singlet. Ocean Perrin has travelled from Wales for this race. Ben Bradley in the AFD vest on the right hand side. Josh Lay is up there early doors, the run yard athlete, now pro for Adidas. You see Josh Grace on the right hand side there in the orange singlet. But still very early days in this one. On a 2-lap course of Battersea Park. It's quite cold in the air, but great conditions for racing. And if anything in those earlier races are to go by, tonight is going to be very fast in this race as we round probably the sharpest turn in the entire race. Rowe takes it well, Bradley looking good on the right too. This is where they can really just settle into their stride. Just coming up on the outside we see Zach Mohammed there, having a great cross-country season so far. He's had some massive runs in the cross challenge as well as the European cross-country trial race in Liverpool back in November. So no change at the front, it's still Jack Rowe with Ben Bradley just tucking into his slipstream. These boys do a lot of training together. They've just come back from a training stint in Kenya, so they'll be very used to running 1 and 2. As we look further back in the field, it's quite difficult to see with it being quite dark, but you can see there Phil Norman, the Woodford Green and Essex vest, is making himself known. Josh Gray still in there in the mid-pack. Looking further back, there's Sam Charlton having a good strong run so far. Still very early days in this one. As we head back to the front of the race and just move through the runners there, I can see Andy Hayes having a great winter so far. Some big runs on the cross country, as well as a good half marathon this season already. Dropping down in distance for the 5K tonight. Jack Rowe just takes a little look over his shoulders to see if anyone's coming with him. Just a bit of a gap opening of a stride or two. Zachary Mohammed in second with Ocean Perrin on his shoulder. Ben Bradley still there on the inside with Phil Norman just behind him. Josh Lay in the Adidas singlet just on the right of them. We are approaching the lap section of this race when the noise will increase. As you can hear, some of the spectators who have cut across the middle of Battersea Park to support these guys, and when we do head down the home straight for the penultimate time, the noise is definitely going to pick up, because many people have travelled down to southwest London tonight to watch these races, and it's great to see Podium and Friday Night Under the Lights come together to give these guys and girls the opportunity for fast times over 5K. So still Rowe out in front. He's really taken this race by the scruff of the neck. Stride or two, gap back to Ocean Perrin. Further back in 4th place we have Andy Hayes with Josh Lay just on his shoulder, Phil Norman on the outside, Ben Bradley still in that pack, Zachary Mohammed on the inside. If you're a keen fan, you'll remember the Rowe ran here last year. He ran 13, 34, 30, 35 solo 5K. It was a much warmer night. So yeah, but after a stint in Kenya, we could be looking at something in and around that, maybe faster. We'll have to wait and see. As runners just have to negotiate a post there. This is a public park, Battersea Park. So there are pedestrians, dog walkers, and bollards that these runners need to negotiate. Just go over 5.5 minutes on the clock. No change at the front, it's still Jack Rowe looking really strong there. Ocean Perrin just trying to stay with these front two. Ocean's had an unbelievable indoor season so far. Well inside the 8-minute mark for 3,000 metres recently. to see how he can go on the road tonight for the 5k. But it's starting to split up now. The pace that Rowe's putting down at the front is really starting to tell as Ocean Perrin starts to drop back. And it looks like Jack Rowe is starting to put the pressure on as the noise is really going to pick up here. We had to round the turn there. That was quite an aggressive bend for us on the bike, let alone the runners. But Jack Rowe has really put the hammer down now. As we approach 7 minutes on the clock, Rowe is really pushing this pace, and it's really starting to tell on the rest of the field. But from the races earlier in the night, the second lap looks like the place where the race is really won and lost. As the noise starts to increase and the supporters really start to get behind these athletes that have come down to Battersea Park tonight to really send it for 5k. This is great racing as we go through the halfway mark with 1 lap left to run. It's still Jack Rowe out in front. Spectators are going to make some noise for these athletes. As we enter the bandstand area, probably the most technical part of the course, and back onto the smooth running as we enter this second lap, final lap of this elite men's race at the Podium under Lights 5k. It's still Rowe. He has one for company. And then about a 30, 35, 40 metre gap back to the main pack. As distance starts to appear between our leader and second. Rowe looking good. He's really running with intent tonight. He said he wants to make teams. He says he wants to run fast, and he's doing exactly that. Down in southwest London at Battersea Park, Jack Rowe running very strongly on this second lap. As we round one of the big turns of the course, Rowe cruises round with ease. He's now got 15, 20 metre lead, a further 40, 50 metres back to the main pack. This is looking like it's Rowe's race. It's him against the clock. Big support for Rowe on the course as he strides down this back straight on this lap. That gap to second is getting bigger by the metre. As we look further back in the field to just see where the other runners are, it's quite difficult with the light, but you can see there that the gap now is really starting to tell as we enter back to Jack at the front. This is where the action's happening. 9.5 minutes on the clock, probably about 4 minutes worth of running left. Can Jack beat his mark round here of 13:35? Had an incredible summer season last year, and he's really showing his talents tonight. We hit 10 minutes on the clock, and there's almost a sense of quietness in the air as Jack is so far in front of the rest of the field. It's almost peaceful of such compared to 5 minutes or so ago when he had company. But that gap now, as we can see, is at least 50, 60 metres. Jack Rowe is well clear and gone. It's him against the clock. As we hear the support again from the spectators, great words there from someone on the sideline. They said, "Your tempo tonight, Jack." And it is Jack's race. He's here all by himself. As we enter 11 minutes on the clock, this is the last kilometre of this race. He's absolutely flying. But I feel like tonight's race for Jack, regardless of what the numbers are going to say on the clock, this really is a kickstart to his year. As I said, he's done a stint out in Kenya. He's been training hard out there, rubbing shoulders with Eliud Kipchoge and some great talents from Great Britain. Been putting in the miles, and he's tapered nicely for this race tonight in Battersea Park to really test himself. As I look further back in the field, I can't even show you, wouldn't even appear on the camera, the gap that Rowe's got. It must be at least 60, 70 metres now. But he's in the slipstream of the lead bike. He's got that as a pacemaker, that's all he's got tonight. He's got to keep his eye on that back wheel, stick his nut down and get after it. As we start to approach the athletics arena, the lake's going to be on his left, and that indicates that we are approaching the final turn in this race. Still Jack Rowe out in front. As we see the athletics track on our right, the lake's on our left. I reckon we've probably got about 500, 600 metres left to run in this one. Jack looks full of running. Just give him a little bit of room, give him a little bit of room. It's still Jack Rowe out in front. As we enter the last 400 metres of the men's elite race. Slow down, slow down. Yeah. As Jack Rowe rounds the final turn. It's Rowe against the clock. Jack Rowe, he's into the home straight. He's probably got about 200 metres left to run. Speed up. It's Jack Rowe, he goes to the arms. He goes to the legs. Rowe is away. It's him against the clock. 13:06 on the clock. This is very fast. Jack Rowe is on for an absolute stormer. 13:15 on the watch. Faster, faster, faster. It's Jack Rowe in the men's elite race. He's going to take the win here. Jack Rowe absolutely flying down to the finish. Jack Rowe. He's going to take the win here.
It's Jack Rowe who's coming. 13:40. Second place, going back to second place in 14:52.
Alex Lett, Sam Charlton, Ben Bradley.
Great time.
That's it, keep moving down, lads.
Jack Rowe, unofficial winning time of about 13:40. Talk me through the race, mate. Obviously, we were on the bike next to you, but how did it go in your mind?
It was good. Like, we went out, and I'm not sure the first mile was too quick, but I was just interested to see what people did, how people reacted. I put my foot down like a few times just to keep pushing, and then like the third one guy came with me, and I was like, okay, we've got a race. But I could hear him breathing quite a bit, so I knew if I had like one more gear, I'd get away. But it was good. Like, it's cold.
Obviously, you've just come off a stint in Kenya,
yeah.
So going from those conditions to freezing cold temperatures here. What was that like? You said you had some breathing problems.
Yeah, like I just struggled. Like, I felt like my chest was really tight. So, but I'm not going to complain. It was a great race and enjoyed it. But yeah, Kenya was class. Put in some real strength work, and we just wanted to come use this as an experiment. Like, what's it like to drop down from altitude?
And finally, mate, obviously great start to your season. What's next for Jack Rowe?
Probably the British Indoor 3000. So I want to go there and race indoors, get a bit of speed, and see if I can get that dub.
Amazing. Well, our winner tonight in the men's A 5K down at Podium under lights, Jack Rowe. Congratulations.